Hi everyone and welcome to Book Boop. My name is Rachel and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I want to read in the month of August. I have 8 books here that I'm very excited about. You're going to hear me say the word excited a lot because all these books I'm totally pumped to read and I can't wait to share them with you. Before I jump in, I do want to say I realize that the Newt's Readathon created by G from Book Roast is occurring in August, and I did take part in the Owls Readathon that she created. That was in April, and I do want to do the Newts. However, August is my birthday month and I really didn't feel like having to fulfill certain prompts. I really just wanted to read whatever I really felt like reading in August. So I'm actually going to take part in the Newt's Readathon in September. This is the first year that I have ever done the Owl/Newt's Readathon. I'm really excited to do it, and I think it's going to be the last year to do it as well. G's decided to not do the Owls Readathon again after this year due to some things that J.K. Rowling has said. She's decided to kind of step away from Harry Potter a little bit more and making Harry Potter content, which I fully respect her decision, and I think it's great she's sticking by what she believes in. I'm a little sad about it, but I completely understand, and I do want to take part in it this year since this is the first time I've ever taken part of it, and probably the last time I'll be able to too. But since I would like to really focus on books that I really want to read this month and not having to fulfill prompts, I am just going to push it to September. So I'm going to do the Newts in September, as well as possibly another readathon. So I think I may try to cram a couple of readathons in September, which may not be a smart idea, but I'm really excited about the challenge. But let's go ahead and jump into all the books I am hoping to read in August. So I've got 8 books here, and this first one you will definitely recognize is the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is the very unexpected prequel that we received this year. No one was expecting this was going to be happening, and then we just all of a sudden have this prequel to the Hunger Games. And this story follows the origin story of President Snow, who's kind of the main villain of the Hunger Games that we follow. So I am so excited to read this and see on what end I land, because this is a very polarizing book. Some people have really loved it. Some people really hated it. Some people didn't see the point of it. Some people thought it really brought a really interesting highlight to the series and the Hunger Games as a whole. So I'm interested to see in what party I fall in and to see if I really enjoy it or not. But I am so excited to finally be able to read this. It finally came up to my turn to borrow this from the library. So I am very excited to jump in. The next one I am very interested to read because it's actually going to be my very first manga. And that is The Promise Neverland story by, and I do not know how to pronounce it, so I'm just going to hold it up so you can look at it. This is a manga that I have heard so much about recently all over BookTube, and it sounds like the story is really intriguing and I'm really interested in it. All I really know about it is that we follow these kids who seem to live this wonderful life. They're all orphans, but they live in this orphanage where they're well taken care of, but then they find out there's some darker aspects to their lives and the world that they didn't realize about. I'm not going to go into it more than that because I don't want to spoil anything. I've heard a few things about this book and series that may have spoiled me a little bit, but it's made me very intrigued to read it. I love things that have a nice dark spin. From the cover, it looks like a very cutesy manga, but it's actually supposed to be pretty dark and have some horror elements. So I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping I read it correctly. I've been trying to look up the correct way to read manga and everything because it's laid out a little bit different than I would normally read. So I want to make sure I read it correctly, but I'm very excited to get into this and just have my first experience of manga. This next one is a middle grade that I am really interested to read. It looks like it's honestly perfect for fall, but I've been in such a fall mood lately. Fall is my absolute favorite season, and I can't wait for it, and I just wanted a little dose of fall in August before we get there, and that is Scary Stories for Young Foxes by Christian McKay Heidicker. Apologize, I'm horrible pronouncing names. I don't know a whole lot about this, except for the fact it sounds like we follow this family of foxes, and I think foxes are named kits when they're little. But we're following all these kits in this family, and each kit I think faces a different something scary in the forest. I don't know. It looks like it's a collection of short stories of each little kit or fox kind of having to come up against sort of something that they have to either be brave about or escape, or I don't know. It just sounds like it's a collection of scary stories. It looks like there's also some really beautiful illustrations in this as well. I'm very pumped to read this. It just looks really cool because I love me some middle grade that's got some creepy, scary elements. And I feel like this is going to be the perfect read to just cozy up in at night, put on the ASMR room with some fire crackling sounds and some thunderstorms, and I will be set. So I'm very excited to read this. And this cover is just so pretty. Okay, this next one I feel like I've been putting off reading for the longest time. I've heard a lot about it. Some people really enjoy it. Some people think it's okay. But it sounds like it's something I would enjoy, but I don't know why I've been putting it off. But that is The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. This follows a girl whose family is kind of always on the move, always on the run. And her grandmother is famous for writing a collection of very dark fairy tales in her own kind of dark fairy tale world that she has created. After her grandmother passes away, a lot of craziness is set loose to where her mother is kidnapped and is apparently stolen away to this magical world that her grandmother had written about that is supposed to be fictional, but maybe it's not. It sounds like it's supposed to be a dark fairy tale. It kind of reminds me of the Land of Stories. So that kind of thought of Chris Colfer creating this world where all of our fairy tales that we grew up with, Cinderella, Snow White, those things, all these characters reside, and it's actually a real world. That's what this reminds me of, except think of it like Grimm's fairy tales, and you find out that's a real world, and there's all these creepy, terrifying stories that are brought to life. So I think it's going to be a kind of dark, twisted fairy tale, kind of like reading a Grimm's fairy tale. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. This has a gorgeous cover, as I gravitate towards all the time. And I'm really looking forward to seeing if I like this one and just kind of get a dose of a nice dark fairy tale, because that sounds absolutely wonderful right now. It sounds very fall again. This one is one that I have had on my list to read for a long time, and I'm excited to finally get into the series. I'm really hoping I like it, and that is House of Furies by Madeleine Roux. All I know about this one is we're following this girl who has recently been hired as a maid in a boarding house. And when she starts working there, she realizes there's some dark and sinister things happening in this boarding house, and that the person that runs the boarding house is actually trying to exact some strange vengeance on these people that live in the boarding house. I think it's supposed to be really kind of a creepy place. Maybe it's haunted or something. It also incorporates some kind of strange photographs. So a la the Asylum series or the Miss Peregrine series, it's going to incorporate some really cool kind of creepy photographs along with the story, which really I think will just create a really cool atmosphere. So I'm excited to get into this one. This is the first in a trilogy, so I'm really pumped to kind of try this out, see if I like it. I own the second book in the series too, so I do really hope I like it, because otherwise it's going to be a bummer that I bought the first two and I don't end up liking it. But it looks like I think I will. It looks nice and creepy, which is always a good setting for me because I love me a good creepy read. This next one, I am going to be delving into some sci-fi. This is a very popular, more recent sci-fi release, and that is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I've only read 2 Sanderson books so far, and I've enjoyed them okay, but I've heard of this one being really incredible. It is a YA sci-fi. We're following this girl, I believe her name is Spencer, and she kind of lives in the world where humankind is trying to survive against this alien race that's trying to wipe us out, and one of the biggest honors and a lot of things people strive for is to become a pilot, and a pilot in the war. Spencer really wants to become a pilot. She wants to get accepted into a program that she can learn how to be a pilot of her own ship, but she's having issues being accepted into that because her father used to be a pilot, but he actually ended up turning tail and running, and he's considered a coward, which is, in this particular world that we're reading here, is basically the highest dishonor, is to be considered a coward. And so because of that, Spencer's really having to prove herself and just being able to go against the legacy her father has left for her, and she just really wants to become a pilot. So I think this is going to be really fun. I've heard it's really engaging and engrossing, and I'm very excited to jump into some more sci-fi because I haven't read a whole lot of sci-fi recently, so I'm really looking forward to getting into some more and finally trying this series out because I've heard some incredible things. I honestly have not heard a single bad thing about Skyward, so I'm hoping to love it. I really do. This next one I heard a lot about recently. I feel like I'm saying that about every single book, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself a lot. I'm just very excited about what I'm reading this month, and a lot of these are pretty popular right now. This is an adult thriller that I have heard about. It seems like a lot recently, like a lot of people have been reading this book, and I've heard nothing but praise for it, and that is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I've been wanting to get into some more adult thrillers. I love kind of having a mystery and sort of some darkness to it, and so I'm really excited to delve more into this particular genre. This story, we're following this girl who has gotten a job as an apartment sitter in sort of this upscale, fancy apartment building, and the job sounds a little too good to be true. She's going to be paid really well to apartment sit. However, there's some very strange rules that come along with this job. I think some of them are like she's not allowed to have people visit, she can't leave the apartment at night, she has to keep the doors locked at night, which, I mean, is kind of no doubt to me, but anyways, there's some like very also strange rules she has to follow. And while she's apartment sitting, she starts to learn a little bit more about the building and maybe some strange things going on. She also meets some other people that also have a similar job as she does, who is apartment sitting as well. And I think one of the apartment sitters goes missing, and after that, things start spiraling out of control. So I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be awesome. I'm very excited to get into another adult thriller. I've had this sitting on my TBR cart over here for a while, and I feel like this is finally a good time to do it, especially since so much has been talked about it lately. Riley Sager's new book just came out. I believe it's called Home Before Dark, and I'm dying to read that as well. So I'm excited to finally delve into this writer's work and just see what I think about it, because I really want to read Home Before Dark too. So I hope I really, really love this one. Last but not least is honestly the most beautiful book I have purchased this year. It just sounds amazing. I think it's going to be a fantastic dark fairy tale, and if anything, the cover is gorgeous. And that is Pan's Labyrinth by, and I apologize, I always butcher it, it's Guillermo del Toro, I think. I'm really bad at pronouncing it, so I apologize if I completely butchered that. This is based on the movie that was created several years ago, which I have seen. I saw it in theaters when it first came out, so that's showing my age a little bit, because this movie's been out for a little while now. But it is definitely a dark fairy tale. It kind of reminds me of the movie Labyrinth, but in a much darker setting and tone. And it just looks so magical. I mean, look how beautiful that cover is. I think it may have some lovely illustrations. Every single page just looks perfectly just designed, and even without the cover, I think I've shown this before, but even without the cover, I mean, look at the beauty that this is. I'm so excited about reading it. I just think it's going to be such a wonderful dark fairy tale. I remember it being very strange, very dark. I remember the ending, I think, kind of wrecked me a little bit too. So I think it's going to be just this magical yet terrifying place at the same time. I'm so excited. Yet again, I apologize, I said excited I don't know how many times, but I'm very excited to read this and delve into this, and I'm so excited to have this in my collection because it is absolutely gorgeous. Those are all the books that I'm hoping to read in August. It's quite a few, but I'm very, very pumped to read all of them. I'm hoping I love them. I cannot wait to read them and let you know what I think about them. If you are taking part in the Newts Readathon, let me know down below what you're going to be reading and what career you're pursuing. If you want, please let me know too, like what books you're planning to read this month. If you have a TBR video or something, link that down below. I would love to check it out and see what you're going to be reading, or just let me know down below what book you're most excited to read in August. But I am pumped to just have a really fun birthday reading month. My birthday is on August 31st, so I have the whole month to get through before I even get to my birthday. But I'm looking forward to curling up with a cozy blanket and a good drink and some fantastic worlds to jump into. On this side of the video over here is my logo. If you click on that, you can subscribe to my channel, follow me on my book journey. I would love for you to be a part of this BookBoop family. On this side over here is another video if you want to watch another one right now, but thank you so much for watching. You rock, and don't forget to keep reading. Bye!